Hello, I'm Vikki Cooper from the GRCC English Department. I'm an associate professor here, and I have the honor of interviewing Dr. Consuela Ward. Dr. Consuela Ward is the author on healing Black girl pain, and she has more than 20 years as experience as an educator, speaker, facilitator, consultant, trainer, and coach on diversity and inclusion topics. Dr. Consuela Ward,
Yes,
welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm
Glad
so
to
happy.
be here.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you here. I have to start off with your poem. And you started your book off with the poem, and I was hoping you could read the poem. Do you mind
Sure.
reading it? Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, so here you go. And then I have a question.
Okay. So it's so funny you asking me to read it. I am going to explain the poem tonight.
Okay.
And I'll be glad to explain parts of
Okay.
it here as well. But it's called The Cut That Won't Heal. I got a cut that won't heal. It's that burdening split between my thighs. It bleeds from the pain of yesterday and today. We got to teach our daughters how to heal for their tomorrow. Elders taught obligation over love, communal care over self. My superpowers endured inherited servitude with grace and considered me a virtuous woman, while my bondage remained just under the thumbnail of religion. I had hoped to survive its reign of oppression, but never considered the freedom to escape it. Red, yellow, black, brown, white, we all bleed red in the cut. Pus produced in its softness from the swelling of physical and psychological rape. Violating eyes dripping with saliva mutilate my wound deeper to appease their weak minds. Men with laws confuse their interests with mine, their polluted touches at my expense. My mishandled nature bleeds harder, causing natural disasters on land and sea, moods swinging in the angry wind, the sun sending flashes of heat from the sky. Oceans of tears flow from years of neglect, but they rebuild and profit off of my hysteria by removing the decaying pieces of wombs scattered about. I got a cut that just won't heal. It's that burdenous split between my thighs. It bleeds from the pain of yesterday and today. Let's empower our daughters to heal today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I read that you wrote this while you were in the Bahamas.
Yes.
Taking a break in the Bahamas.
Yes. 2 weeks there. Yes.
Well-needed break, right?
Yes.
This poem, can you explain what's the significance that it has for our daughters, for our girls, and for our Black women?
Yes. So when I talk about that burden, right, it won't go away. So we have to learn how to embrace it and use it to empower ourselves. I think in my recollection, I realize how when we are living in a culture that's centered on the pleasure of men at our expense,
Yes.
that compromises who we are and what our purposes are, right? And I want us to be able to recognize it because we've been conditioned to believe that it's natural and okay.
Yes.
And I serve to challenge that. You know, my mother may have taught me how to be obligated to men and to the things that serve men, including religion. But she could only teach me what she knew. And when you know better, hopefully you do better.
That's right.
And so I want to be able to do better for the young women that come behind me.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one more question in regards to this poem, and it reminded me of how Alice Walker distinguishes womanist from a feminist.
Okay.
You know, have you heard the quote where she says, a womanist is to a feminist as purple is to lavender. But I was thinking about the cut that won't heal. Can you explain, and when you said, I should say this, elders taught obligation over love, communal care over self. Do you think that Black women are taught to sacrifice ourselves
Absolutely.
in order to save the Black community?
Absolutely. And while I am a huge proponent of community, I'm a huge proponent of all of us being interdependent
Yes.
versus independent.
Independent.
You know, some of us walk around saying, hey, I'm an independent Black woman, I'm strong. Well, I don't wear that badge of glory. Not because I'm not strong, but because what you hear without words is giving people permission to praise you for being able to handle the struggle and ignore the actual struggle. My book actually comes from a womanist perspective.
Right.
Yeah, and I hope that it's clear. I wanted to make sure that it's clear. As far as us being super women, I think I mentioned that as well, talking about our
Yes.
superpowers.
Oh, yes.
You know, I am talented, you know.
Yes.
However, I still feel. And I think that by holding on to being a superwoman, you're not allowing yourself to feel whatever comes up for you when it comes up, right? And that's normal. I think we've been conditioned to respond meekly to
Yes.
pain,
Yes.
and I think that's sick, right? So I give myself permission to release when I need to, even if that makes other people uncomfortable. I think if you can't be your authentic self, then you're just existing.
I agree. Yes, that's absolutely. So my next question is about the Black church. And we have a lot in common with the Black church.
I heard.
You use the Black church songs as titles for each chapter. Can you explain the relationship or the relation between attending Black churches, white schools, which we also have in common, and male patriarchy in your development as a Black woman?
So I don't know if you noticed, but not only are there chapters named after Black songs, if you read each song in order in the table of contents, it tells a story.
It does tell a story.
It tells a story, and that was very intentional. But what I learned about myself as I was reading this and looking at patriarchy and white supremacy and how all that played a part, it was all education.
Yes.
You know, and during those years, I only knew to survive it, right? And many of us never get past only surviving whatever that is. And I don't think it's natural for you to be in survival mode all the time. At some point, you have to begin living. I was fortunate enough to attend a school that saved my life. I don't know if you read this part, but the only reason I went to college is to get away from my crazy mama.
Yes, I remember.
That was it.
In
right?
a small town.
In a small town, right? Went to this school because I had no place else to go, and fell in love with education. It saved my life, you know? And so I'm appreciative of that. But along that journey, there were golden nitbits along the way to help shape who I was, right? Some of them felt really good, even in the Black church. So when I went away to college, because church was so forced on me as a kid that I ingrained, right? And that I refused to go to church for most of my college years on purpose, but I couldn't get away from it because you do what you're conditioned to be. And so I joined the gospel choir while I was there. And that helped me to cope. One thing I say about the Black church after I reflected was that it both saved us and enslaved us.
Yes, I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yes. And so it saved me because it helped my sanity in coping. But the larger question is, when everything is okay, then what? And I was bitter for a number of years because the same message that I heard in church hadn't changed. It was, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I wanted to know when. Right? When I die and get to heaven?
Right.
Nah, I'm not feeling that one. Okay?
That's it. I want to talk more about the Black people relying on religion in order to survive, and then also feeling entrapped or enslaved by religion. So what effects do you think it's had on, in particular, Black women?
Let me say this. First of all, I was very angry with Christianity when I got to a certain point. I'm no longer there. I appreciate all paths. I think all paths can lead you to the same destiny that you were created for.
Yes.
I really believe that. But to answer your question about how it impacts women, I think it serves to suppress us, suppress our voices. Even when I read the book, I said that it wasn't that I was trying to paint pants on women, right?
Right.
Because it's still a pig. Even if you put lipstick on it, it's
That's
still a
right.
pig.
That's right.
I wanted to question how it harms us and puts us in a box, because we are not cookie cutter people. We all have individual destinies and taboos. And I wanted to investigate that more. I know that when you study the experience of Black people in this country, notice I didn't say African American history, because that happened here. But there is a history of the Black experience here.
Absolutely.
What you would find is that for more years than not, the only time men could have titles in society was in the Black church. And so the deacons or the pastor or the Reverend Doctor, right? That meant something in our community, because that's when we could have titles. And so even with women, we could have some, but we can only have so many, right? But again, at some point I got to a space where I wasn't trying to fight for a man-made title. I had way more God power inside of me than could ever be embodied by a man-made title. I wrote a poem recently called He Said, She Said. And it starts off and it says, him. Hello, my queen. I said, I'm not a queen. He said, but let me tell you your worth. I said, oh, I know my worth. I'm a god.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, because we have the God power, because we all come from the same source. Absolutely.
So it's more of a spirituality than a controlled religious entity.
Spirituality is very fluid, right? It can't be boxed. I study and I practice indigenous types of spirituality, and what I learned was that indigenous folks all over the planet ultimately have the same core ideas. And that's what I focus on. And it is spirit.
Thank you.
You are very welcome.
I love that. So I'm going to transition and talk about your childhood.
Funners.
Well, because I related to this, you mentioned that as a child, a character on television, Claire Huxtable. We all watched The Cosby Show.
Yes.
And she was one of the few, at that time during the 80s, where we could identify with a Black woman who was successful.
Right.
Right? And you talked about that you wanted to emulate her, you modeling her life on TV. But you also said that modeling her life on TV would resolve your oppression. But then you realized the promised land becomes unlocked as you journey toward finding and living your purpose. Again, our girls.
I know.
How do we transfer that to our girls? And not necessarily Claire Huxtable, but just unlocking. So
I think the way to do that is to be honest with them. I think what I was concerned about in reflection in my childhood is folks were not honest about what it meant to be a woman.
Right.
They wanted our generation to do what they couldn't do, not realizing that it couldn't be done. It was made up. And so as I tried to emulate Claire, one day I woke up and I realized she wasn't even real, right? So I'm trying to emulate her purpose rather than have several different women that I could look up to and take bits and pieces of what works for me to help develop my own purpose.
real women. Women around you,
Real
women that you
women.
read about,
Yes.
women not a fictionalized character.
No, real women. But the women in my community, first of all, my house in my community was its own microcosm
Right.
in the community because, and this is really important, my mother's from Chicago.
Oh, so she was from the Midwest.
Yes.
That's right. And then you moved to...
And we moved to the
Florida.
South. And that difference in region is very real.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. You have people moving from the North or the Midwest going down to the South. You are ostracized. And so I was raised by a Northern woman in the South. You talk about contesting all kinds of lines.
And just in our diction.
Absolutely. Because she wasn't having it. Right? Yeah. She corrected my diction and the kids teased me about it. Not realizing that when black kids go to school and they're said to be talking white by other black kids, that's part of that intergenerational trauma that we've never addressed because
That's right.
during the time where it was illegal for black people to read in our country, not just illegal, but it could get you killed.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
There was a time where if you were reading, it was like, oh my gosh, you're trying to be socially mobile. You're out of your space and your place. Know who you are and what's safe for you.
In both community, in the white community and the black community.
Absolutely. And it resonates to 2017.
It does. So I'm going to stay on this issue of these fictionalized characters. And so now we have more women of color on television shows and who have juxtaposed this image of Claire Huxtable into a Cookie Lyon, Olivia Pope, or Mary Jane Paul, Annalise Keating. How do we, again, I keep going back to our girls because they're our future.
Absolutely.
But how do we convey like the message of that? And I don't want to say necessarily wholesome, but what it means to be a black woman, because these women in each of these roles that I just mentioned, they're somewhat sexualized characters, and we didn't see that much with Claire Huxtable. So I'm wondering, how do we convey that message that it's we are worthy, and a positive message, and not saying that sex is wrong, but not that you have to be over-sexualized, because I think that has already happened to black women. Again, what do we tell our daughters who are watching these shows?
Right. Well, first of all, I would say to them that being a black woman definitely has some common themes, but it is not a monolithic experience.
Right.
Right. So there are bits and pieces of those women that we see, and we see them in our community. Even the Mary Jane Paul ones, sometimes it's us, the one that got out.
Right.
So I appreciate
very
that
much
piece.
So.
But the over-sexualization, you can look at that a few different ways. First of all, white women can be sexual, and it's okay. Black women don't have that same...
No, we don't have that privilege.
But I am so about being my authentic self and writing my own story.
Yes.
So whatever that story is that's authentic to me, and this is what I tell the students that I mentee, be your authentic self, whatever that is. Your sexuality doesn't rule you.
It doesn't define you.
It doesn't define you, right? It's a part of you.
Absolutely.
And it's okay.
Absolutely, right.
I remember, I used to be the director of the Multicultural Student Center at a major university in the South.
Yes.
And for the longest time, I would come to work in suits that looked like Claire or looked like Mary J. Paulding.
Yes.
And I'd had a black student say to me one day, "Oh, Miss Consuela, I've never seen a black woman that has as much power as you."
Just from your presence?
Just from my presence. He didn't know that I had to report to a dean who reported to a vice president who reported to a president. So I really, in the conceptually of the university, I didn't have that much power. But for him to see what I did have, that was not evident in his community. That child is a principal today with a doctorate.
Wow.
Right? But I had to begin to change my story to only put up a facade for them and be my authentic self. So the suits changed into something else, right? I'd wear a suit, I'd feel powerful, and that's great. But that's not all I was.
That's right.
That's just not all I was, and that's all that people saw. They put me in a box, and then I had to resist once I realized that I was in this box, and I helped to create it, right? So then I dressed a little bit more relaxed and cute, right?
Right, which is fine.
Yes, and it was much more comfortable for me, and I was much more real to them. And even in my book, I told them, I'm an adult. Teachers do things that adults do,
Right.
right? And all of them are lessons. There are no mistakes. Live. That's why you're here. Experience.
What do our mothers tell us? Keep on living.
Keep on living.
Keep on living.
And don't be afraid to experience, but you better hold on to those ancestors. Hold on to those praying grandmothers. I have
That's
a
right.
totally different concept of what they meant today about those praying grandmothers. Because they had that connection with spirit. I'm not talking about the connection that they learned in a black church.
No.
I'm talking about that African-rooted connection of ancestry that is hidden in the black church so that it could
Right.
survive.
Yeah, so when we talk about them staying on their knees,
Oh, yeah. That's real.
it is, absolutely.
It's
I
calling in that
agree.
energy.
It is.
It's calling in that energy to protect you and to guide you.
And especially our grandmothers. Yeah, that reminds me, yes, especially our grandmothers. So I have a couple more questions.
Okay.
One of my favorite quotes from your book is, reclaiming my body means having the courage to value in spite of doctrine or social norms enough to teach people how to treat me instead of brushing off their excused behavior. So I can no longer trade in white patriarchy for black patriarchy when negotiating the intersection of my body and my race.
That was nice. I just got chill bumps.
I read it 4 or 5 times.
So because for so many years, women who look like me have been conditioned to accept mess from black men and choose my blackness over my womanness, right? I just choose not to do that anymore because I am both equally. That's who I am. And I'm not going to pit one over the other. And yes, you teach people how to treat you. I learned by saying no when you want to say no. We were taught to say yes no matter what because we have to be obligated to everyone else. And I stopped saying yes.
I'm going to bring it right back to our babies. Once again, because you learn how to say no and to say no strongly and to not feeling guilt. And I wonder if that comes from maturity, or is that something that we can teach young ladies now and hopefully they'll learn that lesson? Because I think some of them have it. But I watch, and I watch our young ladies on campus, and I see them searching for something other than what they're here for.
Right. Many of them are searching for security.
Yes,
You know.
I know they are.
Oh,
yes.
man. When I started saying no, it got to a point, it was real easy to say no to white people, right? Because I was choosing my blackness. It got much harder to say no to black men, right? Because of that conditioning. Today, call it wisdom, call it experience, but I've been married. I've had my children. I've done the trajectory. Now I can really live though. Right. And I want to prevent young women from making the mistakes that I made, if in fact I can. Sometimes those are like some gems of lessons that you learn along that way. so I can share with them. But ultimately, I want them to make their choices, and look for the
Yes.
lessons in whatever it is you do.
I think it's interesting when you just said that we can't separate our blackness from our womanness because we can't. And, I often hear colleagues or friends and they'll say, well, what does that mean that you can't disconnect the two? And I think you can. I don't think you can, I should say. I don't think you can. I think that maybe they can. But
Right.
I know that when they describe who I am, I'm a black woman. Probably not. Hopefully it would just be a woman, but I'm sure it's probably, she's a black woman. I have one last question I want to talk to you about, and then I know we have to wrap it up. Here at GRCC, we are struggling to retain African American students, and now more than ever, we are concerned about the success of our African American female students. This has never happened before. In Healing Black Girl Pain, you mentioned the importance of black school families.
That's how I made it through.
For black students at predominantly white schools, can you explain why black school families are imperative to black student success?
Oh, absolutely. You will get lost. You will fall through the cracks if no one is intentional about paying attention to you. That's just the way it is. And so I was fortunate, and I know these were my spirit guides watching me. In all of my white school experiences, I had black family in those experiences. And if it were not for those black families, I would not have been successful. And I, even as an administrator, I saw so many black students who weren't connected. They would just trickle off, And I think it is the responsibility of the university, of the institutions, to ensure that there are faculty and staff that are intentional about looking after our students. It starts, leadership starts from top down. But once the university creates a space for it, it's kind of like a build it and they will come.
Yes.
And we do. And, I had at Georgia Southern, students would hang out in our office all the time. And I had a black student, this I don't know if I put this in the book or not, but this resonated so much with me. He said, coming in this center is the only safe place that I feel on campus. It makes me feel like home.
Thank you.
You are
that's so
welcome.
true. Thank you so
You're
much for
welcome.
doing this interview and talking with us. We appreciate you coming.
Thank
and
you
we'll
for
see you this evening.
Yes.
Thank you so much for talking with me this evening.
Yes, thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you.